defense usually would expect that to result in a win. Just what did you kind of see over the course of this being such a high-scoring game that you guys couldn't get the upper hand?
Yeah, I think first half we had a lot of breakdowns from an execution standpoint. And that led to both teams shot well. Obviously, we just have to do more to try to impact that percentage. Our shots aren't quite as clean. I thought we did a better job with that in the second half, as far as making them work harder. The first half, our transition defense wasn't as good as it needs to be. But I mean, by and large, kind of a sweep, we need to be better at this. So I have to give you a number of things. It wasn't one particular thing that impacted me. There was a lot of things.
You had 4 seconds to come up with a last effort shot. What did you think of that play? Did you
think that was the last play? And it's because it's significant. Curl train in the lane. How the inbounder plays the pass is a big part of whether you're able to receive those passes. He backed up, took that initial pass away, run that before Trey gets his floater. He did a good job of reacting to that, and bouncing back, and those are shots that he makes. I thought it's always hard to get a wide open look at the end of the game. So you feel good about getting the player or getting the ball in the right guy's hands. And if he couldn't get it in bounds, it was a back end for JJ. So
It looked like Veet dislocated his index finger. You had Jalen falling and hitting the back of his head. What can you say of those two guys, especially at a point where you don't have a ton of depth right now, playing through injuries and being available as they were?
Yeah, we talked about some of that before the game. Those both significant plays. We weren't sure if Jalen was going to be able to come back in the game. Same thing with Veet, he was shooting free throws. Both of them, there's a level of toughness that's required to do that. It's hard to shoot the ball like Veet did early on. He didn't miss after you dislocated your finger. But it's courage. You hit another one, you missed a couple. And obviously what Jaden did, they're able to stay focused and just compete and figure that part out after the game.
Coach, looking at the stat line, it's pretty even through basically every stat other than rebounding. Do you feel like the missing, Kristaps Porzingis missing tonight's game and like the lack of size is what really did you guys in?
Yeah, I mean, we have to, there's no way it doesn't do any good to lament those things. I think if you do that, you take your focus away from what you can do and what you have to do. So we've got to rebound collectively. That's obviously important. I didn't think that defensive rebounding, was as pivotal as just containing the ball in some of those drives, and that's what they do. I mean, they lead the league in closeout situations. Try to prevent it from getting middle. That's why you need to get back in transition because that creates it. So a lot of things there. The big picture that if we do 5% better, 10% better, it starts to add up.
How do you feel about the percentage of half-court defense plays where you're in rotation? Like, is it a trade-off with the pressure on the ball, or is it happening too often? How do you feel about that at this point?
Well, I was working his tail off at 6'8". So if, as I mentioned, the ball can get in the paint a lot of ways. If we're backed up, we have a 6'8" center at the rim. So those are all trade-offs. I think the answer to the best answer is to try to have some variety in your coverages. It's hard against them. We did that tonight. We've done that in other games where you're switching 1 through 5. They're driving by and getting the paint. It's something we look at and talk about a lot and try to work on. The thing about those rotations is when you do have them, it's that much more important to not get beat middle. It's that much more important to not go for a curl shot fake, which we did a couple of times. So there's more opportunities, to make mistakes, and that requires us to be even more disciplined. There's times when we're in a certain coverage and we're not up high enough, and they're getting downhill. And Giddy's a big guard. He's 6'6", 6'7". That's he's an inch taller than him. So we gotta try to make our defense, fit our personnel, and we gotta be good at what we do. Our margin isn't great in those situations. I don't think. I think a lot of times those closeout situations are coming down in transition. We gotta have more bodies back there. And as I said, it's 5% here, 10% here, 7% here. We just gotta be 3% better across the board. And obviously, as guys commented earlier, you look at this, you look at what you did from an offensive standpoint. I thought Trey and JJ really found a rhythm together. We talked about that, the last few games, and that was good to see.
Thanks,
Okay.
Coach.
Thank you.